In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the SBC Revision 2 board. And SBC, as you may know, is short for single board computer, which means it contains all the basic components of a computer in one single board. Therefore, it will act as a standalone system, should it need to be. This board has a processor as the memory, and it has a UART serial interface. Now, the memory is divided up into 4 sets of 16K banks, which makes for the total of 64K, because this has a 16-bit address bus. And as normally with the first revision, bank 0 is reserved for the ROM, for the OS ROM, and I've been using bank 1 as my main system RAM. But what makes this board different, this revision different than the first one, is it has a switchover circuit that allows me to switch bank 0 from 16K ROM to 16K RAM and back again whenever I choose, just by writing a 1 or a 0 to address 00 in the I/O address. Now, I have with me a revision 1 board and the revision 2 board, and as you can see, they look very similar. I'll probably superimpose a picture over, which would be better. And the main difference is the UART, which is actually missing in the revision 1 board right now, is now a the 44-pin square chip rather than a rectangle one, a PLCC44 rather than a DIP40. That is mainly because the DIP one is becoming harder to source, and it's not stocked anywhere, basically as new stock anymore. DigiKey do the PLC44, and so that's why I switched to that. Another change I have made is I basically moved the FTDI header at the top. Oops. And I removed the provision for the was it the HC08 Bluetooth adapter. Basically, if you wanted to use one of those, you could just attach it to the FTDI header. That'll make it a lot easier. And you may see on my prototype board I actually have an LED sticking out the top. That is part of my debugging and testing of the board. It actually, that one goes directly to the switchover circuit, and just to let me know whether it's in ROM or RAM mode for when I was testing that it was actually working. I'll be showing an example of that in a moment. Here we have the ROM-RAM switchover circuit from the SBC2. On the left hand side we have the inputs from the system, and on the right hand side we have the outputs of the circuit. The bottom two are actually just for indication purposes, and they're not actually used on the SBC other than for the next stage of the circuit. But on my SBC I actually have an LED attached to it to show what state it's in. Now, these 3 connections here actually go to the ROM and RAM chip and the A14 line of the RAM chip. Doesn't go anywhere else, only the RAM's A14 chip, A14 line. Here we have the circuit in its initial state just after reset. The circuit is put into ROM mode, as we can see by the indication here. And since none of the banks are selected right now, none of the chip selects are asserted. And the RAM's A14 line, it's ignored right now because the RAM's not asserted. Now with bank 0 selected, and we're in ROM mode, as we can see in ROM mode, bank 0 selected, we can see the ROM chip select is asserted. So therefore the ROM will be selected. Now when selecting bank 1, the mode is completely ignored. So I've grayed it out a bit, quite messily, but I've grayed it out. And you will notice that the RAM chip select is asserted and the RAM's A14 is actually high, which is selecting the top half of the RAM. I do this on purpose, which you'll see in a minute. With bank 0 selected, while in RAM mode, you can see here that the RAM chip select is asserted and the A14 line is actually low. So this is actually selecting the bottom half of the RAM. So in combination, bank 0 and bank 1 make up 32k of RAM. So you have a continuous 32k of RAM from address 0000 all the way up to 7FFF in hex. Now, to select ROM mode, what we need to do is assert the IO select line and D0 to be 0 as well. And then that will stick it into ROM mode. Alternatively, when the system resets, it will also select into ROM mode. Now, putting into RAM mode is the same as putting into ROM mode, except D0 needs to be 1 instead of 0. Okay, time for a quick demo. As you can see on the bottom left is the webcam showing the board itself. The green light here is letting you know that it's in ROM mode for bank 0, and I got my Teraterm window here. What we're interested in is the monitor right now, because I'm going to be poking some bytes to the port. Now, if I output to port 00, I put 00 since it's a ROM mode, which is already in. But if I output to 0001, then you see the light has changed to RAM mode, and the system has halted because it's trying to execute code from the ROM, which it doesn't know what to do. So that's not going to work for it. See if I can find a different example for you. Okay, nice quick change here so I can show you. Now you'll see what's different here is I've added this card here which contains a non-volatile RAM, and on that non-volatile RAM it has the M62 OS, and it is designed to run from the main RAM of the system. So the option on the menu here, the O, is what it'll do. It will load the M62 OS from the NVRAM into bank 1, and then it will start executing it. And upon execution, it will switch over from bank 0 from ROM mode to RAM mode, and then it will allow the execution of applications in bank 0 of the ROM. So I will load that. So I just press O, does it all quickly, and as you can see by the LED, it's now orange or red, stating that we're actually in RAM mode. And M62 OS is in development right now. I haven't done much for a few months, as you can see from the date, but it's a command line based interface rather than a single key press menu system like the BIOS is. But it works well. Oh yeah, I don't have an expansion memory card in right now. Oop. But I'm working on it. So I can restart the system. Let's see, restart. If I do a restart warm, it restarts back into the OS. But if I do a restart cold, it restarts back into the BIOS and switches back into ROM mode, as you can see by that. There'll be another video about the M62 OS a little further down the line when it's developed a little bit more, but this is the single board computer right now. Well, that was an overview of the SBC Revision 2. I hope that all went okay. Hopefully I'll get some more videos out soon. I've recently figured out how to connect an Arduino to the system and have it work flawlessly. I'm actually working on trying to get SD card access through the Arduino and a real-time clock. That could help improve things quite a lot. And anyway, thanks for watching, and goodbye until next time. Goodbye. Thank you very much for watching my video, and if you like what I do and wish to contribute to me, please visit my donations page or consider supporting me through Patreon. I'd like to say thank you to those that have donated, and I'd like to shout out to my patrons. Without your help, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you very much.